Le podcast du Consulat de Houston. Le podcast du Consulat de Houston.
Nice to meet you. So tell us about you. Like, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your journey into science?
Sure. Thank you for having me first. So yes, my name is Tanguy Terlier. I'm research scientist at Rice University. I'm also a research professor in chemical and biomolecular engineering. So I have this hybrid position at Rice University, which is in Texas, Houston. I start my journey in France, where I did my PhD at the French Atomic Energy Commission in Grenoble at the CO₂. I have the chance to work on the nano-characterization platforms, where I discover equipment like electron microscopes and more specifically surface analysis techniques. And my expertise or specialty is secondary ion mass spectrometry. I work on this to develop, in fact, the characterization of organic matters in new and advanced electronics. So this is application like OLEDs, organic photovoltaics. They are used now in recent technologies like your phone, for the displays, etc. I continue, in fact, my journey in Korea at KIST, at the Korean Institute of Science and Technology, where again I have the chance to be immersed in the Advanced Analytical Center, and I continue to develop my expertise on surface analysis in particular for forensic applications, where I use machine learning to develop a database. I arrived here at the US in 2018, and I developed a laboratory based on my expertise, in fact, the TOFSIMS. This instrument is very interesting because we can use it for a lot of things. Obviously for electronics, as I was mentioning earlier, but also for museum applications. We are checking the painting, we check forensic evidences, we work on the completely new materials like catalysis for CO₂ captures and other advanced materials in general. At Rice, I'm also part of a core facility organization, the Shared Equipment Authority, where we open our lab for various types of research. We are here first to support Rice University research, but we are also open to industry like Exxon and others, where we can collaborate and help them in developing specific process they don't necessarily want to develop at the industrial scales in first time.
Is there a project that you're particularly proud of?
Yes. So, I mean, in general, we are proud of a lot of things we are doing. More recently, in fact, I have the chance to join a group doing plasma catalysis. And this is very interesting because most of the time the research we are doing translate over 10 to 20 years. Like I say, I start to develop materials for organic electronics application, which translate over 10 years in commercialization. This project in particular, CO₂ plasma catalysis, is very interesting because everyone can understand that greenhouse gases are a problem for the society in general, not just for scientific. And solving this problem could be a major breakthrough for the pollution considerations. So yes, using plasma to solve the greenhouse gases emissions and to transform in something valuable, that's at the end, that's the most interesting for me, is beyond the CO₂, we can capture it, transform it, and then make it useful. In our group, we are targeting different type of carbons, but the carbons we are targeting are structured and can be used in your smartphone as a part of your battery. So that's one of the interesting things. It's considered as a critical mineral or critical material, which is only produced massively and for high quality in China. So we can understand also beyond just the science, beyond the society interests, that is also a geopolitical importance.
So it sounds like you've had a part of your career in France, Korea, now in the United States. And so definitely this international background has shaped your research. So you can probably tell us a little bit about research funding systems like in France and the US and how they differ and how they influence, for example, your work as a scientist?
Sure, that's a great question, and it is very fundamental in terms of how we think about science in both countries in particular. In France, and I was more a junior in France, so I have not seen all of the aspects of the funding in France, and I was at the CO₂, which is also a very well-dotted organism for research. We have really amazing infrastructure in Grenoble. We have a big privilege to work there. But what I have seen here in US in particular, which has made me very excited in terms of research, is the funding opportunities. That start from not just the federal grants and other, which are already numerous, but we could find a lot of similar grants in Europe from the European Commission or from the ANR, the National Research Foundation of France. Here, what's interesting is the opportunities in terms of funding. Meaning, I could have a friend very rich who won't just give me some money, not that simple, but who won't help me to develop a specific technology and give me some money for a specific project. That's possible, which is not necessarily possible in France due to the administrative constraints. Now, what's interesting in the US also is the proximity with industry. The funding from industry are easier, more flexible. So they open a lot of opportunities because they don't necessarily are $1 million. They can be much lower, but can fund a specific project for a shorter time with less constraint just to explore. And if something is discovered during that time, it's great. So they found a lot of students. We have a lot of fellowship here in US that are not necessarily similar in France. Even in France, we have the CIFRE, which is another type of funding from a company usually. And the student will do his PhD in a research institute or in a university team.
And so if you were to compare like the research, culture of research in the US and here, is there anything that surprised you here compared with other places where you've been?
Yes. American in general, beyond just science or scientific research, also focus on how to translate their technology. One thing in France we are not thinking about is, okay, I invent or I innovate on these technologies, how I can communicate about it. Here, everything is already designed that, okay, I'm a great scientist, I know it. I think in France we have the equivalent people. But here they are also focused on the second step, which is how I advertise my discovery, how I promote it, how I promote myself. So my technology does not stay in a cabinet, but go outside in the real world to be commercialized. And that's a fundamental difference because at the end of the day, I say that to my students. It's finished the time where a scientist is a caveman working in a small lab. You need to go out and promote what they are doing to explain to the world how that can change some fundamental problems.
So I know that we're very good in France with innovation and same thing here. How is it different between the two countries? Like how do you scale things up?
Yeah,
here?
so in France, where we are probably more powerful in general is the fundamental research. Meaning, before to go in a master degree or PhD degree, we have a common knowledge. Most of the universities and engineering schools are focusing not just to teach you the most advanced of environmental science right away. You are exploring mathematics, physics, chemistry all together. So that gives you a basic knowledge that gives you more versatility or more flexibility for the future to explore different problems. On that, France is really exceptional. And I have not seen equivalent in different countries I have been working in, as well as the interaction with other students. I have seen that a few times with Italian students having this flexibility in knowledge. I'm not saying that because we have someone here, but my point is what is different here is really this flexibility in the business. Meaning the student knows their discovery can be really a breakthrough, but they are thinking about how I can translate it during my PhD. In France, we are not doing that. We are focused on graduating because the cycle are shorter, 2 years for the master's, 3 years for the PhD. So here they have the time to think how I can translate it as a startup, and they will be pushed to do a startup, which in France we don't. We don't push for a student to do the startup. The startup will come more under the PI. The principal investigator, the advisor will be the one developing the idea for a startup, but not the students. Here, students are pushed to make it a business.
And so I guess this is where, for students in France, for example, to join like international associations, organizations that are scientific would probably encourage them like through knowing other people here in the United States to maybe implement that over there.
Correct. So in France, we have scientific societies, we have other type of societies, but here the level of involvement is different. The first, it's used for networking for a position in science, networking for learning. I have seen people who are networking because, you know how to do that. So I would love to learn more about machine learning. You are an expert. Can we connect so I can learn more from you in person or through different resources you can offer me? You have also something important, the awards. The awards are part of the American culture since they are young, but here that permit also to kind of offer a selection in the profiles. The students who are performing very early with a lot of awards will be also the one who will be able to become faculties if they want to continue. So this is very important aspect of scientific society. But beyond that is also a place where we can exchange ideas. As if we come back to the point where a PhD is also there to make a business, to make some breakthroughs in science. Scientific societies are here also to have new ideas, to brainstorm.
Let's talk about diplomacy a little bit and how important those programs are for researchers today.
So yes. So first, I would like to give an advice to students who are looking to do international careers or explore at least to work in other countries. You have the interest to discuss with the French diplomacy network to see what's possible, what fellowship are possible for short or long-term mobilities and opportunities. This is one of the first things. The second thing is your region. Rhône-Alpes region has also now a lot of programs helping young scientists or even students to discover other countries. Your schools, engineering schools in particular, like the RMIT, have some programs to promote also the idea of I want to explore 6 months in US, how I can do it. So to come back to the question, how this is important. I think first as a scientist, we need to be curious, and curious take various aspects. Obviously, the scientific curiosity, but I think everyone who is doing science have it at some point. The second curiosity is how people work in other countries. That open different approach, mindsets to solve a problem. And finally, on the culture. Working in different countries can be a good experience, but can be also a hard experience because each country has different cultures. Cultures in the work, culture in social interactions. So I was in Korea. As you can imagine, an Asian country can be very different than European country. So you have a lot of codes I didn't have as a European, and I have to also evolve in this middle. And that, in some ways, is interesting because that permit to try to position myself. Let's say tomorrow I have a big project involving a Korean company. I'm here in US. That gives me an advantage because I know roughly the culture and can adapt myself to what my visitor or my colleague will expect. And so we will have a better interaction and potentially a better collaboration if I understand their point of view too. Obviously in the business is important, but if I also understand on the culture what they expect is also another big point.
Do you think that there is a growing understanding in the world today, the world of research, that this collaboration between different researchers really has a positive impact on innovation?
Yes, I think the scientific community has reached a point where they know nobody will solve major problems like pollution alone. We cannot. I mean, climate change, pollution, whatever, we won't call that. Even going to the space, I don't know anyone solving a problem alone. So it's a team effort. But the team effort, from my point of view, come also from international teams. We see that since years with some example in the space research where the European space program and the NASA are working together, but now it's translated at different level. And again, the diplomacy has permitted to create these connections where schools have agreements so students can have a master degree from the schools they are visiting as well as the schools they are from to have co-diploma. That's an interesting aspect. The second aspect of international research or international science project is we can have access to different facilities. Facilities, from my point of view, are the key to solve a big problem because it's impossible to be expert in everything. So having international collaboration permits you to have access to the people who are on the top of a specific problem. Again, no one can solve everything. So having collaboration internationally will permit to move faster in terms of research, but also have the best response and best developments.
And since we're in Texas, let's talk about Texas a little bit. And we are in particular in Houston. So why is it, in your opinion, such an interesting place for research and innovation?
Yeah, so Texas over the last few years has been put at the center of the US map. If you listen to the news, a lot of companies are moving here in Texas. The population is growing quickly. But beyond that, I think in Houston in particular, one of the interesting things is the energy. I mean, the energy research has been fundamental in Texas since a while, but over the last years, the energy has taken a turn to be more generic, meaning beyond just the petroleum, oil industry, we are looking about new energies, renewable energies, but nuclear applications. And on that, the Texas has the particularity, and without forgetting any institution, obviously, in Texas, for me, three major players are here. UT in Austin, Texas A&M in College Station, and Rice University. And each of them has particularities. UT Austin, by the proximity with Samsung, the Samsung factory is there. They are developing more and more engineering or programs for semiconductor industry. They have also nuclear programs, as well as the Texas A&M has their own nuclear reactor, literally for students to be trained on nuclear application and engineering for the radioactivity. In Rice, the particularity we have is the carbon. We are known for the carbon. Professor Smiley and Kers discovered the fullerene in the 70s or 80s and was recognized in 90s for this discovery. But beyond that, Rice has been very active in the development of carbon nanotubes. So the carbon has been one of the major progress down at Rice, which has opened the way to do more nanotechnologies as well. Why the Texas and why Houston in particular? I think it's a very emergent ecosystem with a lot of opportunities, with a lot of companies, as well as great institutions.
One last question. Do you have a dream as a researcher?
Yeah, I mean, like everyone, I guess my dream is to continue to be excited about discovering new things. Well, one of the things, the dream is, I mean, it's not necessarily a dream, but continuing to also try to solve a massive problem. Like I say, I have the chance to work on one of the biggest challenge of the world, which is the how we can eliminate or at least decrease the greenhouse gas emission, and transforming this in something valuable. It's really kind of something already exciting, and that will be something I would like to continue to explore. But beyond, if I have the chance to be part of project where we could solve scientific issues, but that impacts the world, obviously, this is exciting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.